Greetings. So, where do I begin? Finally watched the finale of the Loki season 2, and honestly, I genuinely don't know what this show was about. At first, I thought it was about Loki, and then I thought it was about the TVA, and then I thought it was about the TVA and Kang and how Loki is supposed to fit in all of this kerfuffle. There's so many questions this show raised and it didn't answer. There's so many things it touched upon and it didn't follow through. At this point, Marvel to me feels like it doesn't give a shit anymore. Even the first two things in regards to the first Loki season, I said originally, and I still stand by it now, this was not the show to introduce Kang or his power or his multiverse, universal war, omniverse war. It is not the show at all because they clearly didn't do it justice. How they introduced Kang was the wrong choice, wrong idea. Whether or not he has variants in the comics, it makes no difference. If you introduce a character that's supposed to be or is presented as the next bad, and you introduce him like a pleb or a prick, if Marvel had chosen to introduce Thanos the exact same way they introduced Kang, I imagine a lot of people wouldn't have felt his threat or him as a threatening presence in any way, shape, and form at all. So I feel how you choose to present your villain or a main villain or a side villain that's going to be a recurrent villain in your larger scope of your cinematic universe is important. It's very, very important. And then they chose to add another variant of Kang in Ant-Man in the Quantum Realm experience, whatever it's called. Second wrong choice. In terms of hyping up this next big bad, Marvel 2 doesn't know how to shut up sometimes and surprise its audience. It likes to think it's smarter than its audience, but it's not because of what is currently produced so far. Prior to the Disney Plus shows, Marvel has had some duds, but at least has maintained some high level position of interesting storytelling, good enough storytelling, satisfying storytelling. From Infinity War to Endgame to the Avengers movies and to the standalone movies, some of them, not all of them, but some of them. Ragnarok, for example, that was pretty cool. Some people liked it, some people disliked it, but at least you can say, so far, well done. Of course, they've had some hits and misses, but they still did a great job nonetheless. Now, most of the shows that they released on Disney Plus, very, 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 very rushed and bad and pointless. Then they announced that Daredevil's coming to Disney Plus and all the other characters are coming, but they're changing their style. It's not going to be raw, blah, blah, blah. They announce things too early. They rush and just say shit, almost as bad as DC, just announcing and sometimes not following through and then following through. We don't pressure Marvel to announce stuff. We look forward to certain things. We hope and we pray and we keep quiet, but surprise your audience sometimes. Don't just say new Fantastic Four casting, new Fantastic this, new director for this, new director. And then every 2 weeks or so, or director has left the show because of creative differences. You are announcing things too prematurely. This show is so atrocious that I actually think season 1 is better than this trash. I haven't even sat down to even turn my camera on because it's too late right now. Best believe tomorrow and in the coming days, I will be recording, obviously with my camera on. But right now, I just don't have the energy. I actually need a good night's sleep so I can process what I just watched. Because even though the show is called Loki, they did a great job of featuring other characters in Loki's show and confusing people like me to thinking Kang and the TVA had more of a bigger role to play than in Loki's show. Then introducing Sylvie, which some people didn't like Sylvie's character. The way Loki was treated, the way he just got so involved into the TVA. He'd never even dressed up as himself permanently compared to Sylvie. Sylvie is like a culture thing or identity. Sylvie kept her costume most of the time, but Loki seemed to adapt to the TVA real quick. And I didn't understand that. This is not your home. This isn't Asgard. This is something someone else created outside of them and they don't know. You didn't know till you got to know. And even if you didn't know who created it, it's still not your show. So I don't know what rule they made where maybe I missed it in the first season where you cannot dress as your normal self. You can't wear the natural Asgardian attire you wear. You have to dress like a TV, otherwise they'll kick you out. So much issues with this show. So much flipping issues with this show. It's It's fascinating how some people love this. Not even like, they love this nonsense. I don't understand how. Maybe it's my neurodivergent mind that can't fathom the show, but I've watched the other Marvel's movies and I enjoyed those and I understood those movies. So something is off somewhere. Something is wrong somewhere, that this show or these shows aren't doing a great enough job to elaborate exactly what's going on. Here's the new trend I found lately. A lot of people are going to Real Reject, Emergency Awesome, Heavy Spoilers, and maybe New Rockstar to explain a show that they have just watched. Nothing is wrong with going to another channel or to someone else or to a certified or whoever. If you feel drawn to go to someone else just to help you clarify a few things, there's nothing wrong with that, especially when the show is very complicated or intricate. But something as simple as letting the audience know this is what has happened with some form of dialogue, voiceover, text on the screen. I am not comfortable with this new paradigm of having to go to other YouTubers to read up or watch a show explained. I feel it's a missed opportunity for the show itself. Explain what you are telling us. What is this show about? It just feels like Kang is Loki's guardian angel, spirit guide, and wanted to help Loki become who he's meant to become. Well, this variant of Loki anyway. Kang put all these things in place to help Loki go through all these trials and tribulations so that he can become who and what he's meant to become. Till this day, this show or this Marvel universe hasn't really fleshed out Loki's dual godhood. He's half god, half frost giant. They've only touched on it once or twice in one of the Thor movies. But in general, what does that look like for him? So we don't know who Loki's biological mother is, or do the frost giant just create their offspring without needing a female frost giant to lay with? Because he's half frost giant and half whatever the hell he is. So I do wonder sometimes, is he having to keep that Caucasian skin on every time? Or is that him? If that's him and he's blue underneath, is he normally blue naturally and he's having to put on that facade? Or is he a mixture of that blue and that Caucasian pigmentation? I thought this show was going to do just that and then some, letting us get to know Loki properly, extensively, intimately, so we can see him use some other powers you haven't seen him use in the Marvel universe prior to this show, which would have been a great excuse for them to at least flex his muscle, flex his powers. What else can Loki do? I definitely didn't enjoy the season. It was worse than the first one. The first one was disappointing, but I can definitely compare the two and say this is definitely worse than the first one. There was some very, very bad dialogue. They made Loki concerned about a thing he didn't have a hand in creating. They confused the whole thing. The TVA is such a convoluted process to create. I don't know why Kang went through all this hassle to build this thing. I'm surprised he doesn't have AI entities running this thing. It's such a weird mess. You find variants to run a TVA that prunes people who veer off timelines. It was never shown why Kang chose these people specifically. And then when Loki starts to do certain things, it's made to look like it was Loki that did the recruitment of everyone or just these specific people. There needs to be a lot more in-depth reasoning behind these things. If you don't explain certain things for your audience, naturally speculation will start. Anyway, like I said, let me just stop now because I'm going to turn this into a 2-hour show, even though I don't intend to. I could just turn this into a podcast without having to record my face because I can talk for eons. So my feeling on Loki season 2 is that it's trash. It's bullshit and I don't care. I'm outie. Thank you for listening, and I shall be here tomorrow. I'll either record another audio without a video or I'll probably go live. But let me get my notes ready. Let me sleep on this nonsense. Then come back full force and ready to destroy this pathetic show. I have been your one and only host, ladies and gentlemen,
the Cosmic Jedi.
Signing out.